What is up, everyone? So today we have pretty big news. If you follow the oil markets, or even if you follow any sort of news, this is really pretty big news. But basically, Donald Trump pulled out of the Iran nuclear deal.
I am announcing today that the United States will withdraw from the Iran nuclear deal.
And this has a huge impact on the oil markets because Iran supplies about 3 million barrels of oil per day, which makes up a pretty significant share of the oil market as a whole. So this will have pretty big implications on the oil market, but at the moment we really don't know how big of an impact it will have. We don't know exactly how many barrels of oil per day we're going to try to limit Iran to. It does sound like Trump was very strict with what he said.
The fact is, this was a horrible one-sided deal that should have never, ever been made. It didn't bring calm, it didn't bring peace, and it never will.
Basically, it sounds like he doesn't want anyone to do business with Iran whatsoever, not just the United States. So that's a pretty big deal. I don't see 3 million barrels of oil coming off the market, tomorrow just like that. But it will be very interesting to see just how many barrels of oil per day Iran is going to be limited to, because that's going to have a huge impact on the oil market. Right now we're at the 5-year average, and we're at a really interesting point because we don't have much spare capacity. Iran's going to be coming off, and Venezuela has been taking their oil production for the last year. So we really don't have, the U.S. is producing about 10.6, I believe, and they're projected to do 11.2 by the end of the year. So we really need all the spare supply that we can get. And, the United States cannot supply that with what they're doing right now with shale. It's just not possible. So we're really in a very interesting time right now because the amount that gets taken off by Iran is really going to determine how much demand is going to strip out supply. Because, like I said, right now, we're already been declining our inventories back down to the 5-year average. That's why we've rallied all the way from 28 all the way up to 70, 75 bucks a barrel. So this is really an interesting time. And I'll go ahead and show you guys a chart of oil and kind of what it did today. It was kind of interesting. Up until this day, it's kind of rallied from give or take about 65 bucks a barrel all the way up to 70 bucks a barrel. And then I believe yesterday and today it kind of sold off a little bit. Today it was actually down over 3% on reports that CNN came out with, which were complete BS, which is no surprise that Trump was not going to pull out of the Iran deal. And surprise, surprise, fake news. So anyway, that was not true, and he ended up pulling out of the Iran deal. But surprisingly, oil didn't really rally that much. It might have rallied about 1%, but some of the oil stocks did rally, but not quite as much as I thought, because this really does have pretty big impact on oil and the supply of oil. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens and just how quickly and how much supply gets taken off coming from Iran, because that's going to have just a huge impact on the prices of oil. And from what I've seen with how the oil market reacted today, it looks like it's going to take a wait and see approach. Like I said, it didn't really fluctuate too much. We'll go ahead and jump into my computer and I'll show you guys a chart of oil and kind of what it did today, because it's pretty interesting. How it tanked 3% and then kind of rallied after Trump announced that he was going to pull out of the Iran deal. All right, so this is the 1-day chart of oil, and as you can see, before today it was trading just over 70 bucks a barrel, and it had rallied from about 68 bucks a barrel all the way up to 70, almost 71. This was actually pretty well expected that Trump would pull out of the Iran deal. That's why you saw it really not rally after this. As you can see, so around 10 o'clock today, a little bit before that, that's when CNN came out with the report that Trump was not going to pull out of this deal, or that he was going to give them an extension to kind of get their act together. And as it turns out, that report was complete BS, which is no surprise. Fake news. That was a joke. So yeah, after that, kind of rallied a little bit, up and down, and then around, I think it was around 2 p.m. Eastern time. That is when the report came out, or Trump made his speech saying that he was going to pull out of the Iran deal, and he was very, blunt about it. That the deal was just a complete and total disaster, and basically that he was, going to do everything that he could to make not just the U.S. but every other country in the world basically do everything that they can to kind of cut off Iran as a country and basically not trade with them. Just the tone that he set was, I was kind of surprised that, he was, just the tone that he set with, how upfront he was that, not just the U.S. but every other country in the world was going to, do everything that they can to, basically cut off Iran from the world. So as you can see, it rallied back, and now, and after hours, it's back to, $70 a barrel. So I'm not really shocked here. Like I said, it was priced in already, so it's not surprising that it just rallied back to where it was. And from here, it really just depends, like I said, on how quickly supply gets taken off the table and how much, because that's what we really don't know is, how much. I don't think that, all 3 million of their, barrels of oil that they supply per day is going to get taken off. That's really the thing that's up in the air, because, before this deal, they couldn't really sell any oil at all. But I just don't see that happening where, all 3 million of their barrels of oil per day are taken off the table. If that were to happen, you would see just a huge mega spike in oil prices way above $100 a barrel. But yeah, like I said, I do not see that happening at all. I see definitely at least 500,000 to 1 million barrels of oil per day taken off within, the next 6 months. And that, that will have a pretty big impact on oil because, demand just keeps growing. Of course, U.S. shale keeps growing with it too, but pretty much just enough to keep up with the demand growth. So when you take, Venezuela and now Iran, this is going to have a huge impact. Yeah, I mean, my prediction is $80 easy by the end of this year. And, like I said, how much beyond that really depends on how much gets taken off and how quickly. And we'll go ahead and go to some oil ETFs. That these rallied pretty hard with it, up a couple percent today. XES, 1.5%. ConocoPhillips up percent and a half. So yeah, all these oil stocks are really just, killing it lately with the oil rally. And, with this, I do not see this stopping whatsoever anytime soon. So that's it for this video, guys. Like I said, this is really interesting. If you follow the oil markets at all, this is, a huge deal. And, the interesting thing is even if Trump didn't, back out of this deal and Iran stayed at the same supply day over day, we would still be tightening the next few months, and, demand would continue to outstrip supply, but, not by as much as it's going to. So that's really what makes this interesting, is that this is really like a sweetener if you're an oil bull. We've already seen supply drop to the 5-year average, and that had been continuing. And really within the next 6 months, we would see it drop, pretty well below the 5-year average, without Trump pulling out of the Iran deal. So that's what makes it really interesting is that we really didn't need this. Oil bulls did not need this to happen. This is really just a sweetener, and it's really going to make demand outstrip supply just, that much quicker. And it's going to be really interesting to see what happens in the next 3 to 6 months. So yeah, that's it for this video, guys. Thanks again for watching, and go ahead in the comments down below. Let me know what you think oil prices are going to do from here. Right now crude is trading around $70 a barrel. My opinion, I think it's definitely going to go past 80 this year, but by how much, that's really what I have no idea, and that really depends greatly on how quickly and how much Iran crew gets taken off as far as supply goes. So yeah, go ahead and let me know in the comments down below what you think. And yeah, that's it for this video, guys. Thanks for watching.